Hi guys, I just wanted to give you a deep dive into the variables design system to help you understand this file a bit better and give you the ability to start designing right away. So first, let's get into the Get Started section. Here you can learn a little bit about me as well as get some helpful resources into learning more about variables, as well as links to different courses you can take within UX design, and then links to some additional component libraries. If it's not enough components for what you're seeing in this file, you can go ahead and download there. Then we have our styles, variables, and components overview. So this is an overview of what you'll see in this file, as well as brief description of the variables here, and then you can dive into the specific pages by clicking on the appropriate links. And then we have a section for making edits to match your brand. Of course, this is already set up in a way that is for this mock brand I've created, but you can edit all the colors, all the numbers, etc. as needed to match your brands. And here are just a few helpful tips so you can go ahead and do that. Then in the variables section, I've come up with this kind of graphic representation of how the variables are set up through primitive, semantic, tokens, and then defined components, as well as the different themes being used in this file. You'll see that all here, as well as the variable naming convention laid out, and even how the categories are set up within the variable system. Then you can dive into each variable separately. You have your colors, how those colors are represented within the variable system, within both light and dark mode, and then how to apply those colors correctly so you're making sure that your components are easily transitioning from light to dark mode. And here is an example of how easy they transition. You can just swipe them in between the different frames and you'll see they transition within an instant. Then we have numbers. This is an explanation of how numbers are set up within the variable system. Again, this is a 4x4 system. It goes up in increments of 4, and then how that's represented within the spacing, the padding, the corner radius, and then a deeper dive of how those are aliasing into the sizing variables, going from XXS to super small to super large. Then we have the string variables. This is specific to just text. So anytime that you want to change a text variable, this is how you would set it up through strings. In this case, what I've done is created language mode so you can transition between English and Portuguese. And again, you can see the ease of that with the screens here. You can easily transition. It turns to Portuguese and then back to English with an instant. And then we have Booleans. So this is when you are shutting off visibility and shutting it back on, and how that's working with web, iPad, and mobile. You hide certain elements like the text here. The mobile menu items are being hidden when you're going into iPad and you're going into mobile, as well as the sizing is changing. Again, super easy to transition between the different screen sizes when you're setting up the variables correctly. And this is showcasing how to set up these layers so you can easily drag them from the different frames and it will size accordingly. Okay, then we have our styles. You can dive into your grids, This is just a representation of what the grid system will look like, but you're also welcome to turn this on under layout grids. You have all three of them represented here, and then you can turn on mobile. You'll see it actually represented, and then you can turn it off, and the specs are written below. Then the color styles. Currently, gradient is not set up for variables yet within Figma, so it's still under a style component here, and you can easily add that gradient or add as many gradients as you like into your styles. Then we have your typography. Again, you get to the typography just by clicking outside of the artboard, and you can see all of your local styles here, including your text styles and your color styles and your effects down here. This is a representation of how the text is currently set up within this file, but of course you can change it as needed for your brand. Currently this is using these two font styles. Again, you would change it to your fonts when editing this file. And here's an example of the effects used within this file. Can easily be changed again to match your brand. And then we have the components. So here's some iOS components that I've added to this file, just in case you need to use any of these. They're here for you. But then the main components set up are icons and avatars all the way down to tooltips. I'll just give you a brief overview of this section. Here is where you find your components. This is the same components, just in dark mode. And then you have your variables defined on the right hand side, so it gives you an overview of how these specific variables are set up. The same thing with buttons, and then how your variables are defined. And then in addition, you have your auto layout specs, so how that's defined within auto layout. That's continued all the way down, and then you also have your designs. So here you have the screen sizes. This is just a representation of the 3 different screen sizes used within this file. And then your mobile and web designs. Again, this isn't a full product design, but it does give you a few screens here that showcase how you can use this design system, how different variables are applied within the designs, and just how easy it is to switch from light and dark mode. You can just easily drag this and it switches into dark mode because of the correct variable setup. And lastly is just a section about how you can work with me. If you like this design file, you're intrigued by my work, feel free to reach out. I have my email here, as well as additional designs that I've created with this link. And then you can also follow me on Instagram down here. And I really hope you like this design system.